morning. So our organization is Action for Economic Reforms. We have been founded since 1996. We work on fiscal policies and governance, mainly working on economic and governance issues. And our focus is on fiscal policies, right to information and industrial policy. Um, I'm personally a new member of the organization. I started with the organization in I think in late 2010. And the work that I will be discussing, the AER's work that I will be discussing with you today is on the fiscal policy, specifically on the excise tax reform that we were able to successfully push in 2012. So just a little background on the work on the excise tax reform. So it was passed in December 2012. And the impact of the reform was, first, it simplified the tax structure from a four-tiered system to gradually shifting to a unitary system by 2017. And we were able to put in place important features of a tax system, which is automatic increases in the rates to adjust to inflation, and significant increases in the tax rates, because the tax rates on alcohol and tobacco were really low to start with. So the impact of that reform that we were able to put in place was, first, a record high 82% increase in revenues in the first year, from I think around $1.3 billion in 2012 to $2.4 billion in 2013. And then there was also a significant drop in smoking prevalence, because this reform had two twin objectives. First is the revenue objective, and the second would be the health objective. So there was a significant drop in smoking prevalence from a rate that has long been above 30% to 25% in 2013. And there was also an unprecedented 58% increase in the health budget, because the reform includes an earmarking of a large portion of the excise tax to health, specifically for universal health care. And it made the excise tax law a real game changer for the universal health care in the Philippines. So what were my major takes on the whole reform advocacy? Because I'm relatively new in the development work. I graduated actually from my master's in 2010. So I went straight from undergrad to graduate school. So 2010, I graduated 2010. So I went into the development work, like in real development work, come 2011, so when I joined AER. So the first lesson for me would be, having a researcher background would be, don't just take the political realities as given. I've often encountered researchers that say that the lack of political will is a barrier to development, or political will is the key to making reforms effective. So, and then I realized during the work on excise taxes that, and it was quite a relief for me to know that we can work to influence political outcomes. An example, a specific example from the excise tax advocacy would be, when we started out in 2010, the two chairs of the Committee on Ways and Means, where excise taxes usually begin discussions, were pro tobacco industry. They were quite known to be allied with the tobacco industry. And if we started with that assumption, and we were hopeless that we will be able to influence political outcomes, then we wouldn't have pushed for the reform in the first place. But because the people in AER know that we can influence political outcomes, then we worked for it. And I think this is rare to happen in reforms, but these two chairs were removed from their office during the course of our advocacy, and we were able to pass the law. So that's an example. And then the number two would be number two lesson for me, which is quite related to being able to influence political outcomes, is that managing the coalition is as important as building the coalition. So I think most of us would agree that the bigger the coalition is, the better, because it confirms that you are pushing for the right reforms, and it will strengthen your political influence. However, the bigger the coalition is, the more varied and the wider the spectrum of allies that you will have, and the higher the likelihood that you will have discord. So what worked for us is to have a core team composed of people we really trust. So the coalition was very broad during the sin tax advocacy in 2012. It was composed of health advocates, health professionals, business, the business sector, the academe, the tobacco farmers, and even the tobacco industry. So it was a broad coalition, and compared to the coalition before the 2012 advocacy, wherein it was just composed of technocrats mainly. This was really a broad coalition. The 2012 coalition was really broad. And it was interesting because of the broadness of the coalition, there were challenges. Wow, the 7 minutes is very fast and never read. Anyway, oh my God. So I need to wrap it up. So I think I'll just go directly to the other three important lessons. The third would be the flexibility and rapid response to changing circumstances, which we encountered all throughout the reform in 2012. And the fourth would be choosing your battles, but without losing sight of the ideal. An important example would be the alcohol tax. In the lower house, we did some compromises, but we did it in a way that it will not be difficult to correct or reverse in the future, so that when we went to the Senate, the upper house, we were able to get some of the important features that we wanted to get from the alcohol tax system. And the fifth would be to take advantage of the collective wisdom that is out there, because this was a long reform. This was a difficult reform. Especially the young staff, appreciated the length and depth of struggle in pushing for the reform, and we really learned a lot from our elders in the organization. And so that's it.